Today, we are talking about how to make your 2-track beat sound like you use the multi-track or the track outs. I am going to show you how to take your 2-track from this to this. This is the second and final installment of this 2-track series, but I'm also going to be showing you how to bring it all together at the end of this video as well. Without further ado, let's get into the steps. Okay, so step number 1, after you have your vocals pretty much where you want them, you want to get a balance. In this case, I use my overall 2-track fader to get my balance of the production versus the vocals. That's the first step. You want to get your overall volume balance and relationship together first. So you see this is -4.7. If I decided to match these and make this -1.4, we'll see where that level is.
You know we on it, we came out from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the ground, that's why they robbed him.
See, that's not terrible. You can still hear the vocal, but it's not allowing that vocal to be present. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn that back down, and let's listen to that level.
You know we on it, we came out from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him.
So when I turn that back down, now that lead vocal can sit on top of the music, but there's still an issue, which brings us to step number 2, overall EQ balancing. In this case, we only have a 2-track. So say if I wanted my instrumental to be brighter, maybe I could turn up the clap, the snare, or the hi-hat to make the instrumental brighter, but I don't have the individual tracks in this case. So what I have to do is use EQ in order to turn those things up and down. It is going to affect the entire instrumental, but I can get a similar effect. One of the plugins that I love to use for this on 2-track beats is this custom lift series from Slate Digital. I just select between the silky and the present, and I check out the big and the punchy. This is what I'm doing with this EQ. It has these preset frequencies. You see they change. I just click back and forth and see which one I like the best. Same for the low end preset frequencies. I just boosted a little bit on the low end in this range and some on the top, which was kind of a lot. If we go back and we listen again to this 2-track in relationship to the lead vocal, I'm gonna just play from the hook.
We came out from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really.
That hi-hat and that clap and snare is kind of dull and it's very low in the mix. The kick is pretty loud, but the hi-hat and the snare isn't. So this plugin is something that I can use to easily adjust that balance. Now watch when I bring this in, how the clap, the snare, the hi-hats, they come up a little closer and maybe even a little higher than that lead vocal.
We came out from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the ground, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a f, they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but it's a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes.
What I'm doing here with this EQ is I'm stretching the height of the 2-track. That's how I like to think of it. I'm bringing the top end information of this production higher. I'm bringing that out more, and it gives me the effect of I'm stretching it out more, which allows me to put that lead vocal in a better pocket in relationship to the entire 2-track. But think of that balancing, like what instruments can I turn up or down with EQ? Or maybe even what groups of instruments can I turn up or down with EQ? I like to use this plugin for, you know, top end and low end a little bit, but then overall, if I need to, maybe I want to turn up some more of the musical elements. Maybe I'm around this area or somewhere in the low mids, trying to adjust how loud I can get certain musical elements to feel in the 2-track. Or maybe I'm trying to turn up some musical elements on the side, so I might use some mid-side EQ and boost or turn down the side some. Another thing that's important is to reference other music that's out, because if you listen to other production, other beats that are kind of similar in the vibe or similar, same genre, whatever the case may be, you can hear, okay, my 2-track is a little too dull, or it's a little too bright, or maybe the hi-hats are a little too loud, or whatever is happening. And you can try to EQ that tonal balance of the 2-track more like things that are already out. Step number 3, this is where you're getting your energy and your feeling from. Since you don't have the track outs, you are limited in how much character texture and energy and vibe you can add or enhance with the 2-track. So there are a lot of different ways you can go about doing this, but first let's talk about punch or transients. Now you can do all kind of things. Maybe you put a transient designer on the 2-track. In this case, I liked how this SSLG bus was just giving me a little bit of glue and a little bit of punch. That's all I really wanted from this one, but some kind of dynamics processing if needed. Now this is how I think of glue. Say you have all of your friends and y'all are in a semicircle, but if you reach your hands out, y'all can only touch fingertips. Glue just makes it so, oh, now y'all can hold hands. You feel me? It just brings everything a little bit closer, a little more unified. And it depends on the type of mix. Maybe y'all are so close that y'all can hold hands, but you want a little more glue than that, and now y'all can like wrap your arms around each other's shoulders and kind of huddle up or something like that. Things are a little spread out, and we just bring things just a little closer together. So I'm getting that effect, but I'm also getting a little more punch out of the drums, really, of this 2-track. I'm gonna mute the vocals so that we can hear this effect a little bit better. I really want y'all to listen to the punch of the kick and the snap or the crack of that clap and snare and just see how it gives a little more energy, a little more emotion, a little more pop to it. I just needed a little bit, that's it. And then I love to use the NLS channel. This is a goated plugin. If y'all don't use this, you sleep. I'm just giving it a little bit of drive, 0.3 on the drive, just a little bit of character. I also like this plugin because it has a feeling to it. A production can tell a story and can communicate an emotion. So in this case, I'm using this plugin to make me really feel the way I think this production wants me to feel. It enhances that vibe and that feeling a little bit. And sometimes I'll do the same thing with EQ. I'll use EQ to enhance that emotional feeling of an instrumental. I'm doing a few different things with this EQ. This is multi-use. To me, the low end was not shaped the way that I wanted it to be, so I'm turning down a little bit here. These points right here on the EQ and this one, these three, those are frequency ranges in the instrumental that I'm moving out of the way of the vocal. I'm going to talk about these two EQ points first, the green one and the purple one. The green one I'm using because I wanted to shape this low end a certain way, so I'm actually using Pro Q4 and LTL Chop Shop in tandem to shape the low end the way that I want it to be, because to me it was a little too woofy, but I wanted more of the punch. So let me show y'all what this curve looks like. So if I bypass all of these, that's really all I'm doing in the low end. Yeah, maybe I could have turned it down on the LTL Chop Shop EQ, but I just was doing it on a Pro Q. With this one right here, the hi-hats got a little too piercing, so I'm using this dynamic EQ to relax the hi-hat some. So let's bypass these right quick and we'll check out these two EQ points right here. And then let me bring the LTL Chop Shop in as well. So that really fills out that low end, because I don't have direct control of the hi-hat, but this is a way that I could really isolate that frequency range. Yeah, it's going to be affecting other frequency ranges, but that hi-hat is the dominant frequency right there. If I just want to relax that, I can use this EQ to pinpoint that hi-hat. And you can do that with certain instruments. Certain instruments in the instrumental take up certain frequency ranges. So you have somewhat of a control over their overall volume a little bit, and it's just enough. Unless the 2-track is horrible, it should be just enough to get a better balance of the overall picture. We're gonna come back to these frequency points, but now we're on to step number 4. This is parallel processing. So in this case, I didn't do a lot of parallel processing, but sometimes I'll find it difficult to be able to either adjust the balance of an instrument by using EQ directly on the 2-track, or adjust the transients of the instrumental by doing it directly on the 2-track. So sometimes I have to do it in parallel, and it gives me the result that I'm looking for. In this case, I could only get so much low end without it messing up other things. So it's MV2. I use the S1 imager to make that low end mono, because obviously there are other things going on in the low end in this song. And then I'm separating this frequency from 10 hertz to 140 hertz. And that's what I'm adding back in to this 2-track. So I'll turn that up so y'all can hear what it's doing, and then we'll A/B it. A lot of just solid thump, solid low end down there to really fill out that bottom a little better. Now we'll A/B it. It's very subtle because I didn't need a whole lot, but I just needed a little bit to really round out the low end. And I know some people gonna be like, oh my God, you didn't use linear phase. I just click through and I do the one that sounds the best to me. I like natural phase in this case, so that's what I went with. Now we're at step number 5. This is where we come back to this EQ and we start bringing in these frequencies to unmask the vocal from the 2-track. The technique I use in order to figure out where I want to do some subtractive EQ on the 2-track at is I'll mute my 2-track and I'll listen to the lead vocal. And then I'll unmute the 2-track and I'll listen and hear what frequency ranges are disappearing or which ones are being masked a little bit. If I want the lead vocal to be really present and it's perfect in solo, when I bring that 2-track back, what frequencies are in the way of that lead vocal being present now? And let me see if I can turn those down a little bit to get that same presence back, or to get that same body and fullness back. So I'll just demonstrate this real quick.
We came out front or bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the gram, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a f, they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but it's a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes. I ain't really wanna text you through them hard times. I seen your picture on.
So I'm sure it's pretty easy to hear how the brightness and the presence of this lead vocal is not as prominent when the 2-track comes on. So for sure, that's why I'm just turning down a little bit at 12K. So now we'll A/B these frequency points right here.
We came out front or bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the gram, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a f, they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but it's a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes. I ain't really wanna text you through them hard times. I seen your picture on the gram and I sent hard eyes. I know I should.
It's really subtle, but it allows that vocal to just peek out a little bit more on top of the 2-track. You can already hear the vocals, or you can hear what he's saying, and it's cool, but like it just gives me that extra little bit. So now let's A/B this one.
We came out front or bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the gram, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a f, they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but it's a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes. I ain't really wanna text you through them hard times. I seen your picture on the gram and I sent hard eyes. I know I should've.
Now this is one of the most important frequency ranges right here for a vocal, first off, but this is one that I normally always pay attention to when I'm mixing to a 2-track, because you see how that lead vocal just became more present, more in a pocket. In this frequency range, it almost can make it feel like, oh, this 2-track was made for this vocal, because this is an important frequency range in vocals just for our ears. I'm sure y'all have already heard about the Fletcher-Munson curve and all that kind of stuff, and even the newer curves and all that stuff that's out. But if you can manage this frequency range well in your mix in general, but definitely mix into a 2-track, and you can allow that vocal to have just enough of this and the instrumental to have just enough, you can really make it mesh well together. And we'll A/B this last one at 202 right here.
We came out front or bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the gram, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a f, they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but it's a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes. I ain't really wanna text you through them hard times. I seen your picture on the gram and I sent hard eyes. I know I
Now that really allows that body and that fullness to remain present in that lead vocal. Now we are at the final step. Step number 6, the mix bus. So this is where we bring everything all together. Now, my philosophy is that if you're doing some heavy-handed stuff on the mix bus, maybe there's some more work that needs to be done underneath the hood. That's not a rule though. You can do whatever you want to do. My mix bus for me is obviously for loudness, but for some subtle EQ, some subtle color, character, stuff like that. I'm not trying to do nothing too much, nothing too crazy. The first thing we have is this Neve 1073. I just really like the color and the broad EQ. As you can see, I'm doing a little bit of boost on the top end and a little bit of boost at 220 on the low end. It's like a different type of smiley face. You know, everybody uses the pull tech for the smiley face. Sometimes I like using this Neve 1073, sometimes, but we'll A-B that.
we came out from the bottom, and that's my so I really got him. He kept on flexing on the gram, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but this a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes. I ain't really wanna text you through them hard times. I seen your picture on the gram and I sent hard eyes. I know I should've.
It's a nice little hype, a nice little presence. That's it. This is a free plugin from Analog Obsession. I remember when I was mixing this, I felt like it got a little too scooped in the mid-range, so I just boosted some 400 a little bit. It's pretty broad. Then I do my first set of limiting. Now, there's no particular order that I do things in on my mix bus. I do what sounds the best to me. I call it like juggling plugins, so I'll just move stuff around and see if that sounds better before or after or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll just be, why not? We can do it. Why not try it and see if it makes things sound better? You never know what you might experiment into. But in this case, it's some color saturation, EQ, another EQ. Then we have a limiter. So it's my first stage of limiting here. Let's see how much limiting we're doing. We're about to start getting louder, so turn your speaker down if you need to.
We came out from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the gram, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a they watching. I'm trying to find my way home.
So you see this limiter isn't doing a lot of crazy work. It's literally just limiting the extraneous peaks a decent amount. I am always trying to get away with as much limiting or as much clipping or as much compression or whatever as possible before it starts destroying my mix. I personally mix with nothing on the mix bus because I want to see the full potential of this song, how dynamic I can get it, how much height I can get on it, how much width, how much whatever. You know, I like to mix with no limitations, literally, first. And then I want to see if I can make the mix competitively loud with keeping my non-limitated mix intact. Also, something to pay attention to is the release. Depending on how fast or slow your release is, you might be getting more distortion. It also can slightly adjust the feel of the groove and how your transients come through. So adjust your attack and release if you have an attack on your limit, but definitely adjust your release and see what feels and sounds the best. This is just what I like for this mix's 0.25. Then I came with the BX Clipper. So what I'm doing here is using a clipper to tame some of those extraneous peaks.
We came out from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the gram, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but this a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes. I ain't really wanna text you through them hard times. I seen your picture on the gram and I sent hard eyes. I know I should've.
Very subtle. See how it's just every now and then it's a few little clipped points. It does have a sound. Now we go to the Oxford limiter. This is actually one of my favorite limiters, can't cap. But I will say I am using this limiter to add some distortion because this is personal taste. But I sometimes like when songs are kind of trap-like or they just have a certain energy. I think the distortion adds to the flavor of that aesthetic sometimes, you know, and in this case, I wanted to have that feeling with this mix. So I'm using it to distort every now and then at certain points. And then obviously we love using the enhance and the curve. Sometimes I don't like how this enhance sounds that much, so I might use the Oxford inflator instead, but that's if I need a little more control over what this section of this plugin does. But in this case, I like just a little bit of it and it was fine. So all I do is I turn up the input gain into the limiter, I turn the dither off, and that's my starting point. And then I'm adjusting my attack and my release again so that it sounds appropriate for the song.
We came out from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the ground, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but it's a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes. I ain't really wanna text you through them hard times. I seen your picture on the gram and I sent hard eyes. I know I should've talked.
There we go, just a little extra loudness. I'm usually always having some kind of true peak limiter at the end. I usually either use the Brainworks one or I'll use the one from iZotope. It just depends. I'll try both of them out and I'll see which one I like the best. But in this case, I went with the one from Brainworks. And I have literally just a true peak preset. When you open up this plugin on its default, some of these controls are different or something. This is just the way that I want to have it set up. And I'm pushing gain into this plugin. I'm usually never adjusting anything on this plugin from my starting point other than the release. Sometimes I'll adjust between this modern and classic as well and see which one sounds best. Will A be that?
Sonic, we came up from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the ground, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a they watching. I'm trying to find my way home, but it's a long ride. I done seen some crazy shit, now I got dark eyes. I ain't really wanna text you through them hard times. I seen your picture on the gram and I sent hard eyes. I know I should.
Now this shouldn't be changing the sound of my mix that much, but you can see down here that it's 0.3, there's an over. That's why I'm using this. And the way that I check to see if I have any digital overs, basically it's going above 0 dB digital, which means there's a possibility of you clipping in some other playback setting. I use this stock plugin from Pro Tools called Master Meter. So let's say if I bypass both of these, let's see if there are any overs that pop up. It'll tell you oversampled clip events.
Sonic, we came up from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him.
You say that went crazy. Now let's clear.
Sonic, we came up from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the.
We bring the Oxford limiter on, still clipping. Now let's bring the true peak on.
Sonic, we came up from the bottom, and that's my so you know I really got him. He kept on flexing on the ground, that's why they robbed him. He be posting money, he don't give a they watching.
Now we're good. Now there's no digital overs. And now again, step number 7, any final tweaks you need to do. If y'all remember, the Neve is turning down a decent amount of low end, so maybe I need to go back within my mix and I need to boost some more right here. Or maybe that's why I needed to put this parallel in. Any final tweaks you need to do on your entire mix, on your mix bus, on your subgroups, wherever. Now is the time to just go through, tighten up, fine tune things. Really get it to where what you hear out the speakers is the same thing you heard in your head. And then you good. So guys, that's the video. Let me know what video I should make next. And if you want to check out any of the plugins I use in this video, check the links in the description. And you know I got to give a shout out to the YouTube members. The new goal is 25, guys. We have dropped to 10. So I'm doing something wrong. Obviously, I'm about to put more live mixes on there for y'all. I'm about to put live recording sessions on there for y'all. Let me know what y'all want to see on the YouTube membership, because obviously I'm doing something wrong. But so far we've got Mix by Jay, Loop Layers, Dominic Jackson, Go Seti, IBGZ and A Place to Be, Curtis Wilson, Thoughts, African Revolution, Entre Music, and Jamo Morris. I appreciate y'all so much for joining the YouTube membership and supporting this channel so I can make these videos and drop them for y'all every single week. We're gonna keep getting better and better. But as always, if you're liking the vibe, like and subscribe. See y'all next week.